I am not doing that.
So hello, also welcome to For the Love of the Game cricket podcast. So the latest episode. This is the first one of the new year, and the new year has started on a good note for the Indian cricket team. So we have actually managed to draw the series in South Africa. So yeah, we could not win, so that will be a bit of a disappointment. But like we still drew it, so we did not lose it. So that's a good thing. So and also it was the first time we won in Cape Town, so that's a major landmark as well. And I think the main talking point has to be the pitch. I think it was a 1.5 day kind of a test match, and like lots of talking points over there. So before wasting any time, so I will just like put it to you guys. So what are your thoughts on this pitch? Like, do you think it's okay, home advantage? Like, what are your thoughts basically? Yeah.
Let Pranav take this first.
Okay.
Well, I think it's interesting that we are straight away talking about the pitch, but ICC has not published their report yet, just as yet. Uh, so probably it's a little surprising that it was unlike a Cape Town wicket, because what I expected it to be was to have a little bit of help for the seamers up front and then break open for the spinners. That's why South Africa went lean on dropping Keegan Peterson and got Keshav Maharaj in, because even they anticipated it to spin later on, but it did not last. The whole series did not last 5 days. It just lasted about what, 4.5 days or something.
Yeah.
So I think for Test cricket, it's not a great advertisement that we get such pitches. And but on the contrary, it's home advantage, which South Africa lost. I mean, had India bowled first in the first Test, it would have been different, because you never know. I mean, you get South Africa for like what, 120, 130, and then give them a lead of another 150 and then get them out. Who knows? But I saw Ashwin's video when he saw the pitch on day two morning, and there were white patches. I mean, if you see, there were white dents on the wicket. So I was a little surprised that why have they prepared such a wicket, or is it underprepared or something? Because I don't think South Africa will ask, or they be such good hosts. Want to give India, play it into their hands when you're 55 for all out, and I mean it doesn't make sense, because you potentially lost Dean Elgar a World Cup, because that's what he said. So uh, yeah, I expected a better pitch, to be honest, but I can't be critical of the pitch because the team which played on that wicket has never complained of that wicket, because since the last 4 5 years India have been touring abroad and they have never complained about the wicket, and that's something that I like. Uh, Unlike the visiting sides, say Australia, England, New Zealand don't complain because they don't speak at all. But in case of England, when they're here, I'm sure they'll start saying, the talks must have already started on Sky Sports commentary panel saying, okay, we'll get dust balls, but the series gets over in about 10, 12 days together, and we're happy. I think it has a lot to do with what you have as a home advantage, but surely it's not a 2 day test match. At least I don't see it that way.
Yeah.
Now, while we have these pitch talks and all these things that happen, when you have to go back to Lords in the 1800s to find something similar of such an occurrence in the past, when you have to go by 100 plus years, that itself should tell you something. But something just struck my mind. What if India had to bat first, and if India got bowled out? The narrative would have been Indians have batted very badly. I'm not taking, I've gone after a few journals calling them out on their hypocrisy. Some of them have replied, some of them have just kept their mouth shut. But still, their narrative is India, the team, it's a combination of all three: bad batting, bad pitch, and something else they said. I don't know what it was. So this hypocrisy has to stop. And, people who keep saying that Rohit is a very subdued person should go and have a look at his press conference.
Right.
Because in press conference, he made things very, very clear. And again, to this team's credit, they didn't complain once. And to our fans, what we need to basically tell them is, A, don't judge the youngsters on this tour. it is not fair to judge them on this tour. And you've already seen Jaiswal play the best innings of his life, in my humble opinion. The second innings, 29 that he played, even Rohit's 39 in the first innings, Gill's 31. These are all innings that have, and of course, we cannot forget the one and only Mr. Virat. For him, we saved the special place because it was bloody hard to play there. The bounce was like, it was the second last ball before Iyer hit that short straight. It went over his head. It was a length ball that just went whoop, like this, like a trampoline. How do you play that? Even so, let's say we have spin wickets that are underprepared over here. The first one was the one where they complained was the second test at Chepauk. The first inning score was 329 with the side batting first. In the third innings, England got bowled out for 134. They played badly, simple as that. In the third innings, we made 286, where our number 6, Ashwin, made 100. So if they classify that and the World Cup pitch as bad, then this venue should be banned from hosting a test match. Although I don't suggest that. Wanderers is a beautiful venue, probably the most beautiful ground in the world. But somebody needs to be responsible for what they've done, because this is shambolic what they came up with.
Yeah, I've agreed with that. So, like, my point of view here is like I'm an advocate of home advantage. I don't want any neutral pitches. Like, that takes the fun out of watching the game. Every condition should provide different challenges. But this was a bit too extreme. Like, maybe 3-4 day test still all right. Like 1.5 day test is, I think, like just like a bad advertisement for test cricket. Like, going by the current scenario. So, and also, like, I feel that, yeah, as you said, like, basically, apart from few games in India, most games India have batted pretty well. If we go back even in the, say, the 2016 to that 2019, that time period, like, India were pretty much playing on pretty, like, proper Indian pitches, how they properly behave, like low, slow kind of pitches, not extreme ragging turners, like, except the 2015 South Africa series, that was a bit too extreme. I will agree with that. But apart from that, I think it has been more or less, yeah, like, all pretty okay, all right, yeah. Few 1-2 games here, there, like, yeah, it has been turning, but overall, yeah.
Even in that 2015 tour, we had a draw. If you
Right.
remember, South Africa played out. I think Hashim Amla and De Villiers. Hashim Amla actually played an excellent inning. What, 40 of 200, 300 balls?
Okay.
That innings where he drew.
Was that a draw? And I think they kind of
That
lost.
wasn't a draw.
I think it was
You're
a white
talking
wash.
about the previous tour. You're talking about the previous tour. The 2015 tour, we won 3-0. But yes, what Saptak says, some of those wickets were atrocious. We have to admit that. Those we don't want either. But where do you draw the line? That's the problem.
I mean, if you ask me now, England is coming to India. But honestly, if I was somebody who was looking at the wicket, I'd say first day it has to hold up. I mean, for the first, see, it's winter, and I will not accept a pitch which will start breaking up from the first day, because there will be hardly any sun, right? Even if you go to any part of the country, there will be hardly any sun for the first day itself, because it's very misty these days. Even in Mumbai, it's misty. So if you have a pitch which is already broken up, then it's miserable. I mean, you're dishing out a very bad pitch. But in terms of, let's say we are talking about Hyderabad for the first test, we want to have a good surface which holds together, which has a little bit of dry grass, and starts opening up from the third session of the first day. So you have two good sessions, let's say, where you have scored about 100, 120 runs each session. That's about 4 runs and over. That is proper test cricket, because I'm not saying you have to prepare flatbeds like what you saw in the Ahmedabad test, that Virat Kohli came back to test form. Even that is not so. Two extremes we saw in that series. One was Indore, where the test got over in about inside 2 days,
3 days.
something
Inside 3 days.
Right.
So first session, Australia chased out Travis Head open in that innings. So what I'm trying to say here is that should be a balanced wicket. I mean, let's go back. Let's turn our clocks back to when Steve Smith was Australia captain and Virat Kohli was leading, and there was this review saga where Steve Smith had a brain-fed moment and he pointed out the dressing room saying, "What should I do?"
2017.
And Nigel Long came and said, "Go man, you can't ask." So if we go back to that series had very competitive wickets. And in Bengaluru, especially, I remember that test match because Ajinkya Rahane played a memorable inning, even though it's not talked a lot about.
Right.
But India came back from a situation where they were about to lose the test match. So such kind of sporting wickets, which puts you under the pump and it challenges you, actually encourages the test matches because you know. So even to the contrary, that we had Australia Pakistan test match, the same New Year's Day test match going on in Sydney. That was again a sporting meeting. You might say there was puff of dust coming out of the right-handers off stump area. That was because of the rough that was created by the fast bowlers. So that's how you get a wicket which gives you sporting results. Even though Pakistan unfortunately lost the advantage thanks to Hazelwood's 10, 12 balls that he bowled to get 3 wickets in an over. But I think that's how you build up a test match. You have good wickets, you have a first innings score of 300 around something. Then the second innings, you have around 250, 270. Then third innings, again, you have 250 or maybe, I don't know what's the score. But then fourth innings, you have a chase. And eventually the team wins. So I look at it that way. But that balance has to be struck somewhere that, you don't go overboard and take the home advantage,
Right.
dishing out absolute rage turners or green wickets where you can get your cow and have grass on it or something. But it has to be a balance, and I think that's where you can get in consultants from other countries and prepare wickets which are suitable as a neutral venue. I'm not saying that you don't get home advantage and stuff. That's absolutely not the case. You get neutral curators. They will have assistance from, say, the home board's curators, and then you mutually decide and prepare wickets. That's how test match will work. I mean, nobody can stop India from dishing out race turners. Nobody can stop South Africa from dishing out absolute green wickets. Nobody's stopping them, but this somewhere has to be a balance. I mean, this certainly is not a good advertisement for test cricket. Tests getting over in 3 days is fine. I mean, 3-day test matches are okay because one full team has dominated the whole test. I absolutely agree and give it to the side, but 1.5 tests are absolutely not acceptable.
I'll just take off on a couple of points, and these are we'll put this video by Gerard Kimber, which I put up on Twitter, showing the whole comparison of Newlands. So I don't want to show his video; it would be stealing his work. He works very hard to make stuff, but we'll put it up on our page so that, in which he showed a graph that from 2015 till date, the worst wickets per average per wicket that was shown. Sabina Park came first, and then there was a bunch of South African wickets, and Newlands actually came 6th or 7th. If my memory serves me right, I'll be corrected if I'm wrong. I didn't see one Indian wicket on that. Not one Indian pitch was there, number one. It is because when India bats, we make enough runs. We find a way to make the runs. So that's why the average per wicket sort of gets pumped up. Doesn't happen the same way in South Africa or in places like West Indies, because if they are underprepared, both teams will face the same problem. So there in itself should tell you something, that it's not impossible to bat on turning pitches. You have to find a way.
I mean, you obviously need to get your players based on your skill set. I mean, you no offense to other team players, but I like how Australia prepare for a series, right? Because when they're coming, especially let's go back to the 2017 tour again, they got in somebody like a Steve O'Keefe. Now, why did they bring him in? It's because they know that Indian batters have problems facing left-handers, and that's why Australia won a Test match in Pune.
He took
So
12 from debut.
yeah,
He took
so
wickets from debut.
after that he's not even visible. I mean, he's playing for Sydney Sixers, but they rely on horses for courses. Whereas teams like even when New Zealand came, they got in Chetan Patel. He took 10 in a match, or I think 10 in an innings.
And
Right?
innings.
Yeah, he took 10 in an innings, and I think it was a drawn test match. And I think Rahane was leading in that series. So, you have teams who believe that, on wickets which are turning, we need to have good skill set based bowlers. If you pick England's squad, which they have picked, they have, I think, picked a new player called Basit Bashir, I think.
Yeah,
Uh, and
all
but
off
I
spinner.
expect, yeah, but I saw his stats. They are not so promising. That's because of the wickets that you get in innings. Uh, but I'm surprised that they left out somebody like Dombas because he actually did well in the last tour when England was here. You can't complain because England did not perform well. I mean, when your batters don't do well and somebody like Joe Root is picking up wickets in heaps, that means that your team is not doing well. So, you're bringing players out of nowhere and they don't perform and then you throw them under the bus. And then you sit and complain about the pitch. That's absolutely not working. I mean, I'm just talking about the mindset that's there because you take teams like Australia, like New Zealand, when they're coming to the subcontinent, they prepare decently well. So the sort of preparation has to be there. And last time when England toured India, they beat Sri Lanka 2-0 there and then came back.
Right.
So when you have such sort of preparation and then you're cooked on the home team, then you start blaming pitches, you will reach nowhere. I mean, with all your basketball theory and stuff, you'll reach nowhere unless you apply what's needed in such conditions. I'm no expert to talk, but I'm just trying to point out the mindset because every time there's some controversy that happens, they blame the IPL, they blame the pitch, but they don't see what's the problem in their side or in their uh, backyard. You don't have players who the skill sets require or whatever is required to win in India. I mean, what did Alastair Cook do? He trusted Monty Punisher. That's why England won that series in I think 2012 or something,
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
where Cook had a brilliant series with the bat. So you have bright people, but you don't have the right mindset to adapt, then you're bound to lose. No point in blaming the wickets or the IPL.
Yeah, but Pranav, when you say England beat Sri Lanka and they came and beat us over here, I have a different take. Joe Root beat Sri Lanka and Joe Root beat India. And then England bowlers came in on because he scored like
Yeah,
1,000 runs in no time in that period.
yeah. That's what I'm trying to say, right? Because
Yeah, but my
you
point
have
being
those.
that no other batsman can play this.
That's what. So you don't have skill sets. I mean, you saw Harry Brook struggle against spin when he was playing for Sunrisers Hyderabad this season, but he's still in the Test squad. But
Right.
Haseeb Hamid is not in the Test squad, and that actually baffles me. So there's absolutely no place for somebody like Ben Foakes who keeps well to spin, but Johnny Bairstow is likely to keep wickets.
And no,
So
they still don't know who's going to keep. They
yeah,
still don't
but
know.
he's likely to keep wickets because he plays spin well than Ben Foakes. Actually, that's the perception that's there. So when you have such squad compositions and it takes you nowhere, right? I mean, you can't play with only Joe Root reverse sweeping fast bowlers for 6 over slips. Just can't do that. So
I'll give you. Okay, sorry, I'm cutting you off, but this is how England treat spinners. There's a ground called Taunton in England where Jack Leach plays for. I think his county's name is Somerset, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's Somerset. Yeah.
3 years ago, there was a game that turned a lot, and I think out of the 40 wickets, 35 or 30 plus, a big number of wickets went to the spinners. The ECB fined this ground and they docked points on Taunton because they thought it was overdoing the spin as far as they were concerned. So that's their attitude towards spin. And what's the right word, to bud and to make spinners grow? That's their attitude. And the results are in front of us.
and they are running out of spinners, right?
They have
It,
none.
it's because so they had to call back Moeen Ali out of retirement to play the India series. I mean, how rubbish is that? Because you don't have spinners. You are not encouraging skill sets to have spinners. And then you come to India and say, look, the pitches are surprising. That's, I don't know. I mean, you can't stop people from, creating their own home advantage surfaces. You have to get the players for that skill set, with that mindset to win the games, win the series. I mean, winning in India is a matter of pride for any abroad nation. You ask anybody, even Kane Williamson has now an ICC trophy, but if you ask him what missed you in your career, he'll say, I did not win a series in India because he plays spin well. I mean, you have seen in IPL, he plays spin and fast bowling well, but he has not won a series in India. It's because of the skill sets that they don't have in their army. That's why they are not winning as a team. So you change the mindset, you win the series. I mean, it's definitely hard to beat India in India, but you need to have that quality of players. You're carrying Mark Wood, you're carrying Gus Atkinson, you're carrying James Anderson, but you're not carrying Dom Bess. God bless you. I have nothing more to say.
And I want to add one more thing. Before I think we should talk about our bowlers. I'll just add this one point. I think since 2015, the wickets have been shared between the spinners and the seamers. It's not only the spinners who've been taking wickets. People like Umesh Yadav, Vishant Sharma, Jasprit Bumrah, have Siraj also for that matter, have all come up with telling spells in a series. So it's not just only falling to spin these wickets. There's reverse swing happening over here on certain places. So to just hold on to that theory of spin is outdated. I just writers come out with something new so that we'll buy your articles. Otherwise, it's just the same old boring story.
Yeah.
And
Even in the
Ravi
like,
Shastri mentioned this on air. I mean,
Sorry?
sorry to cut you off.
yeah, go ahead.
Ravi Shastri mentioned this on air
Hmm.
that you when you come to India, you are with a bull-headed mindset that we'll focus on the pitch and then take a call. But what Shastri mentioned is that we'll take pitch as one of the factors and not the only factor. So that is where you win test matches. Right? You're not saying that we are only focused on the pitch and based on the pitch we'll select 11. I don't know where you're heading to because look, it's how do I put it? Because when you're coming to India or when you're going to the subcontinent, you need to have players who are suited for that surface. I have not watched any of the English cricketers who are coming new here, except Rehan Ahmed a little bit. He has a lot of skill sets. I could be wrong that they have selected a gun team and they could win a series in India. That's up to them. But the point is that you know they could be underprepared because they're going to Dubai for a training session. The conditions are alien there because it's absolutely hot at the moment in daytime, and then it cools down to what 15 degrees nowadays. So I don't know what sort of preparation because I saw the England Lions squad. There is nobody who's playing the main squad in that squad. They could be added, but that's how you develop games, tour games, or play in wickets. They're playing in Ahmedabad, which will definitely turn because it's slowish wickets by its nature. So you sort of I sort of agree with what Ravi Shastri said that you can consider pitch as one of the factors for your squad and not the only factor because that is where you win or lose the game because toss is a massive factor. But then once you lose the toss, you have to make sure that how you come back to the game depends on what side you play. And if you only look at the pitch and play, then you're done. I mean, enough of speaking of England, but it's
Yeah.
just covering it because there's been a lot of talk outside about what pitches you expect in India and so on and so forth. And Rohit's press conference clearly says you don't talk about the pitch at all if you're so concerned about it. And I absolutely agree.
So what is everybody's verdict on in my opinion, our third seamer, Mukesh?
I think I like him. Uh, he has been bowling in like good areas. I think I think what the only thing which I thought was maybe he got a bit tired in the later part of his spell. He was like spraying the ball down the leg a few times. But apart from that, I think he's like I also tweeted. I think in the first innings I found him a bit like Philander, like not exactly Philander, but like some part regarding his line and length, everything kind of felt that if he can like maintain his line and length and everything what he's doing currently, I think he can be a very good prospect like in the future as well, especially in such conditions like in our overseas conditions. And so yeah, I think Mukesh Kumar has actually like impressed me the most out of all the like Prasid Krishna or the like all these players. So I think yeah, So good for him. I think Prasidh Krishna actually bowled better in the second match compared to the first match. Like I think first match maybe I don't know it was nerves or what, but I think like he kind of sprayed it all around a bit. And but second match like little improvement. I think he still has some way to go. And also I think he has played a fewer Ranji matches compared to Mukesh Kumar. So I think he needs a bit more
Yeah,
experience as well growing up. So yeah, so what are your thoughts on our bowling attack and everything? So
For
I don't know
me,
that.
actually, Mukesh is a junior version of Shami because he uses the seam more uh, than the conditions, which is actually interesting because if you, I had to plan, I planned to do a thread on him on X. I did one on Mohammad Siraj yesterday. So a pace bowling attack, as they mentioned after the game, is under transition because you have, you already have uh, moved on from the likes of Umesh Yadav and Ishant Sharma. Now you're trying to get new players, so we have to be patient with them. I agree that Prasidh Krishna lacks a little bit of first class games. So what he can do is he can obviously go back to the Karnataka Ranji team and play the Ranji Trophy for the rest of the season. But in terms of Mukesh Kumar, he impressed me a lot with his length. Because it's not easy for a bowler who has played only one test match coming to South African conditions and then get his lengths right from ball one because he knew that the surface would assist him. So what he did was he consistently stuck to those lengths between 3 and 5 meters, which troubled most of the batters. And his delivery to Dean Elgar to dismiss of him for the second innings actually is the ball of the series. Of course, you can call out Siraj's deliveries a lot because he picked 6 wickets, but the standout bowling with actually using his mind, setting him up properly was Mukesh Kumar's delivery to Dean Elgar. So he's an excellent prospect, uh, but I would like him to only focus on tests and at most one-day internationals. T20Is, he has been in and around, but he's been doing well for Delhi Capitals as well. But the point is, I don't want all format bowlers because it actually opens a risk of injury, which is not likely because he's an asset to be preserved. So leave him for 2 formats. You have enough bowlers in T20I cricket going around, so it should not be a problem.
I'd like to add on in Mukesh and Prasid's case. When we talk about Ishant Sharma being one of our legends, which he is, it took him 70 test matches to click into gear. And if you look at his career after 70 tests, this fellow is in a league of his own in terms of average and this and that. Even Javagal Srinath, when he debuted in '92 in Australia, he was spraying the ball all over the place because you need to remember these boys don't get sporting wickets. So time to time they will get excited. And yes, Krishna was bad in the first test, but to his credit, there's no wickets to show, but he at least kept one end tight. The first over went for runs, but after that, I think he bowled only a matter of 5 overs in the first innings, 4 or 5 overs. But
Yeah.
he was getting things together. So we need to be patient with the guy. We've entrusted him. He's come through the whole ladder of Indian selections and he's come till here. You cannot dump him now. You need to be with him, persist with him.
Yeah, agreed.
It's
So
the same
Siraj,
case with
no point in talking. They've been probably two of the
Philomena.
best bowlers in the world right now.
Yeah, I mean, just adding on to what Prakash said, it's the same case with somebody like Shardul Thakur because I see all of them going around him and saying he's not fit for Test cricket. I think it's just about time that he understands what his strengths are because I spoke about this in the last episode as well that you need somebody like a Shardul Thakur unless and until Hardik says, okay, I'll play Test cricket because he gives you that cushion in batting and bowling. Our next overseas tour is in Australia, that too of 5 tests. So you definitely need him there. But the point is, how do you utilize him and how does he think of himself as a useful resource when he's bowling actually will make a difference in him being an asset to the team because his job is to not pick wickets right away, but control the flow of runs, which he needs to do very often than not, because the way he bowled in the first test was absolutely nonsense. And that's not the length that you have to bowl in South Africa to get. And why I use the term nonsense is because he picked a 7 for when he was there in the last tour. So he knows how to play in South Africa. Despite that fact, he bowled badly, and that's why I'm a bit upset with him. So go back to the Ranji Trophy, churn your way out, get back to the Border Gavaskar Trophy, and do well there is what the mantra should be, because you're not needed in the home test, because next 10 tests throughout the year are in your hometown. So you would probably not be needed there. And I think that's the best way for anybody to come back. I see Cheteshwar Pujara scoring a double hundred. You never know, because you need him in Australia again.
Yeah.
Okay, one thing. I'm sorry, Saptak. I want to get this one thing out of the. I want to pose this question to you guys. For how long can we keep having Rahul as the keeper? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. What do you guys think? I'll say what I have to say in the end after I get your opinion.
I think it's okay. Like, I mean, he will still improve and stuff. But I think if he keeps batting at, say, the number 6 position, so I think that's pretty okay. Like, I don't see any major challenges there unless he feels otherwise. So he feels his body is not holding up or something, then that's a different case. But if he's up to it and if it's going well, I think he's a huge asset for the test side. Like, because I think he's the best batter among all the wicket keepers we have. So I think Rishabh Pant aside, so when he comes back, and that will be a totally different dynamic then. But like till Rishabh Pant is out of the side, I think like this is the best we have got. So yeah.
I
I
don't
think
know.
for
In the England series, you'll stick with him as a keeper.
Yep.
I think we'll have to, because there's no other option at the moment which you can trust with the bat more than the gloves. I know Konashrikar Bharat is an excellent keeper going around for spin, but for only that matter, you can't play KSB, because you need to have somebody who holds the bat well. And KL Rahul plays spin well decently. I mean, it'll be a challenge for him again to keep to spin when the ball keeps low, up and low. And I think that'll actually encourage him to take up more such challenging roles. And I'd be happy if he does that, because
Exactly.
it gives you an interesting headache when Rishabh is back, because uh, Shreyas Iyer would be under some tremendous pressure to actually perform, because in the subcontinent there's no other better player than Shreyas Iyer to play spin. But when you go abroad, do you trust Shreyas Iyer or get KL Rahul and Rishabh Pant? That could be a dilemma, because I'm sure Rishabh will be back by the next Border Gavaskar Trophy. Uh, and he's likely to play in the IPL and keep as well. That's what DC sources are telling. So who knows? I mean, if Shreyas has a good Patodi trophy and Rahul has a good Patodi trophy with the bat and the gloves, you never know. I mean, who stays the coach till then is not known. So
That's also
you have a
true.
lot of things to ponder over. But for now, let's stick to Rahul, because he's the best bet with the bat, and that's how you see it.
Yeah.
I just think that in the second innings when he comes to bat, he is 30% of the bat, and I can tell you it's not easy. Keeping those many overs, you can't feel your feet don't move the way they normally do. So you're taking anyways. We are shoving in utility for the team, but then you're taking out one bit of utility for the team in the second innings, and it can come and bite you later. That's what I have in, because he's not done it his entire life. The strain that Pant will have on him versus KL Rahul, Pant's strain will be a lot more lesser.
But I think that's why you have somebody like a Shreyas Iyer in the side, because he plays spin well, and that way Shreyas can cover for Rahul as a batter. I'm saying, not of course as a keeper.
Of course, yeah.
And Shreyas gives you that confidence that okay, Rahul can take a little more rest in the dressing room. And you have the likes of Ashwin and Jadeja, so Rahul can anyways bat even down the order if required. So that's probably a cushion that you have if you think of it that way. And I'd love to have somebody like Upendra Yadav instead of Kona Srikar Bharat, now going forward, grooming a backup keeper, at least for the subcontinent. I'm not saying Rishabh is a bad keeper. Rishabh has developed as an excellent keeper, but you can't actually put your fingers down on somebody like a KL Rahul to keep for 5 tests to pace and spin. But you can have somebody like Upendra Yadav, as who's a regular keeper who's been doing the hard yards, coming up the ranks, uh, and you can still groom them. I mean, it depends on what's the thinking of the team management. There's a lot bigger debate going on the Afghanistan series squad that's going to be announced today.
Right.
So, uh, I hope Rahul sticks to what he wants to do because he himself has demoted himself to the middle order and keep as well. So fingers crossed, it goes well for him.
Yeah.
Good for India.
No, good. Very. He's turned it around since he's come back from his injury in the World Cup. Now, who do you take your four spinners to be? Obviously, Ashwin and Jaddu are there.
Kuldeep and
Akshar and
Akshar.
Kuldeep, that's it,
Yeah,
right? There's no other.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
Nobody
play. I'll probably pick Washington Sundar as well instead of
as a
Vayu
backup. Yeah,
Backup.
as a backup.
because I would want because Sundar likes England and
Yeah.
the last time they played here he did well.
He made 85 in Chennai.
That's the probable line that I'm thinking and but let's see what the selectors think about it.
Yeah, so fair enough. So we can like do a preview of the India England series in a later episode. So
Another
yeah,
later
so
episode.
yeah. So this is like what we had. So hope like everybody who watched it kind of got some like inputs out of it. So these are few points which we felt like talking about. So and maybe you feel like it was a missed opportunity to win a series in South Africa. Maybe it was 1-1. I don't know how we feel. Actually, I don't feel that much. Like it's that kind of a series. Like it just went by too quickly for me. So anyway, so like so do like follow our Twitter page as well, and we can interact there. And what are your thoughts about the everything coming ahead, the challenges of the Indian team, everything, the South Africa series? Do let us know. And also a happy new year once again. It's the first episode of the new year. So goodbye. Have a nice time. Bye.
Bye-bye.